move back to the chair. Okay, let's start marching on the spot, everybody. Make sure that we're sitting at the very front of our chair and that we're not slouching back in the chair, because if you're sitting too far back, you won't have any room for your legs to move. So try to be as forward as you can in the seat, and you're just going to be lifting up your legs nice and high, swinging those arms as you're marching. And you'll notice here that as I'm marching, I'm not just swinging the arms forward, but I'm also swinging the arms backwards as well. So we want to make sure that our chest is lifted and open, our spine is nice and long, nice and stacked on top of our pelvis, and that way we have room for our arms and legs to move. Okay, keep this going for a little bit longer here, getting the legs and arms going. Also, just a gentle reminder that if you find anything we're doing in the class a little bit too fast, feel free to slow it down, okay? Especially for the warm-up section. Okay, let's do some heel digs forward. So you're tapping those heels forward and you're pushing those arms out in front of you, opening the hand, opening the fingers, spreading them nice and wide, almost like you're pushing something away from you. And as you're doing this movement, you'll notice here that my spine is still nice and long and I'm still sitting upright. So we don't want to be getting lower like this towards our feet, but we want to keep our chest open, keep our shoulders level, and keep our spine nice and long if you can. So this is why sitting at the front of the chair is really helpful, because if we're all the way back here, it'll be very difficult to sit upright. Okay, keep it going. We're going to maintain the same pattern of movement, but this time we're going to do opposite arm to leg, pushing forward. So your heel taps are still the same. This time, rather than having both of your arms pushing forward, we're just doing one. And it's going to be the opposite arm to your leg, pushing forward with every heel tap. Still sitting up nice and tall. Really reach that heel away from you. Almost like you're extending your knee as far as possible as you're tapping the heel forward. Nicely done. Let's do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to tap our toes out to the side, opening those hips, opening those knees, and we're going to stretch the arms out at the same time. So both arms reaching out to the side as your foot is tapping out to the side as well. Shoulders away from the ears if you can. So I don't want to see anybody do this. Nice long neck, sitting up nice and tall. Noticing here as I'm straightening those arms out to the side, I'm also opening my hand and my fingers as well. So we're not doing fists like this, but we're spreading those fingertips nice and wide every time. Good. Okay. Now, keeping this pattern going, we're going to now do opposite arm to leg. So same as what we did before with those heel taps forward. As we're tapping the toes out to the side, we're going to spread and reach the opposite arm to the leg to the side. So just like the same pattern we did earlier, with both of those arms reaching out to the side, except this time we're just doing one arm and it's going to be the opposite arm to your leg. How we doing? I think I see something moving in the chat box, but I'm too far away to see the chat box. I'll come forward in a little bit. Okay, let's do last 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and drop the arms. We're going to now straighten those knees in front of us, and you're going to show me the bottom of your foot. So as we're doing this movement, you're sitting up nice and tall, right? So we're not getting lower with every straightening of the knee. We're sitting up nice and tall, and we're maintaining that same height as you're straightening each leg in front of you, showing me the bottom of your foot. And as you're doing this, you're going to circle the arms backwards. Nice big circles if you can, keeping that chest open, keeping the shoulders away from the ears, and sitting up nice and tall as you're doing this movement. Now, if your shoulders are bothering you a little bit, you don't have to go all the way up. You can do the movement a lot smaller if you like. Just go to a point where you feel comfortable. You don't have to go all the way up if you feel like you're not able to. Good. Let's do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and drop the arms. We're going to separate those legs a little bit wider, sit right on those sit bones, reach those arms out to the side, and then we're going to tip down to one side. So you're reaching one of your hands down to the floor, and the other one's reaching up at the ceiling. So you'll notice here there's a curve. So if I move my arm, you can see there's a curve in my spine as I'm tipping down. So you should feel that stretch on the outside of your body. So we're not doing this with our arms, right? So we're not just moving our arms, but we're moving the entire body. So the arms technically stay in the same position. It's just the body that's moving us to the side, hence why the arms now are in this orientation. Keep your chest forward. Good. And we're gonna come back up, drop the arms for a second, and bring them back up. Same thing, other side, tipping the entire body down to the side. So not just the arms, but the entire body, such that if you took away your arms, your body should still be in this sort of sideways crescent shape. Good, keep your chest facing forward. Nicely done. And we're gonna come back up and drop the arms. Bring your legs in a little bit. This time we're taking our hand, we're reaching to the outside of the opposite knee. Then your other hand is gonna wrap around the back of your chair, sitting up nice and tall. You're gonna use your arms and twist your torso around, almost like you're looking at the back wall. And as we're doing this movement, we wanna make sure we're nice and tall. Our spine is nice and long. Crown of the head is still reaching for the ceiling. Good. And release that stretch. Same thing, other side. Take your hand, reach to the outside of the opposite knee. Then your other hand's gonna wrap around to the chair, sitting nice and tall, and pull yourself around almost like you're looking at the back wall. Keep that spine nice and long. Few more seconds here. And then release. Okay, stay where you are. I'm gonna turn my chair sideways. You probably guessed it, we're doing our sit to stand. Actually, let me go on a diagonal. Okay, so in our previous classes, we talked about doing our sit and stand nice and slow, thinking about where we're placing our weight. So i.e., feet flat on the floor, and you're gonna lean your chest forward, almost like someone grabbed the front of your shirt and tried to pull you forward, and you're looking right in front of your toes on the floor. And then from here, you're gonna bring your weight even further over your legs. So see here how my bottom is over my legs and my weight is going forward over my legs. So I'm not back here like this, right? I'm not leaning on my arms back here, but I'm bringing my chest forward, bringing my weight over my legs. Then from here, I'm gonna push the floor away from me as hard as I can to stand up and squeeze my bottom. And then we're doing the same thing in reverse. Stick the bottom back, chest forward, bend those knees, keeping your weight over your legs until the very last second. So we're doing that same pattern of our sit to stand nice and slow, except today I'm gonna challenge you a little bit. For those who want to try, I want you to bring one of your legs further forward. So you're biasing the back leg. So whatever leg is back here is the leg that you're using mostly. And the one at the front is gonna have less weight on it. So same thing if I show you here. So you can see here, my left leg is back here. So I'm biasing my back leg. So I'm leaning my weight forward, bring my weight over that left leg, and then pushing as hard as I can to stand up. So The front leg, imagine there's eggshells underneath the foot, so we're not crushing it, but we're lightly placing the foot on the floor, and then same thing, sitting back down. So you're thinking about this back leg is what you're concentrating on. So imagine eggshells under the front leg. Let me show you again. So you're putting your weight on that back leg only. So bringing your weight over that back leg, then pushing the floor away. So you can see here, this foot, there, it's on the floor, but there's barely any weight on it. So it's almost like I'm doing a single leg sit to stand and then coming back down. So I want to challenge you to do 10 on one side and then switching over to do 10 on the other side. So remember, your back leg is the one that you're biasing. Your back leg is the one that you're biasing. The front leg is the one you're going to pretend there's eggshells underneath. So we're not stepping on that front leg, but you're lightly placing it on the floor, and you're using your back leg to help stand you up. So see here, this foot barely on the floor, and then sitting back down, exactly the same thing. So if you had to, you could technically lift your front leg off the floor, okay? Okay, off we go. Let me stay sideways. So in your own time, see if you can do 10 on each side. If you can't do 10 on each side, don't worry, just do whatever number you feel you're able to. Or if this is too difficult, then you can go back to doing both legs, okay? Up to you. But the key here is we're not using momentum or using our arms to pull us up, but you want to use your legs only. Rely on those hip muscles, on those knee muscles to get you back up. Good, well done. Really try to test your balance here, going nice and slow, test your strength. We're not using momentum. We're not using our arms to pull us upward, but you want to practice transferring your weight over the base of support, i.e. that back leg, in order to help you stand all the way back up. How we doing? Hopefully we're doing okay. Nicely done. So whenever you finished on one side, you can do your second side, but take your time. There's no rush. The slower you go, the more challenging it's going to be, because if we're going really fast, chances are you're probably using momentum, or you're using your arms to pull you up, or you're using the back of your knees against your chair to help prop you up. Good, nicely done, everybody. Remember to push the floor away from you as you're standing. Squeeze that bum cheek. Nice and slow, nice and controlled. Bringing your weight over that base of support the entire time. And of course, the higher your chair, the easier this is going to be as well. So if you're doing this from your couch, it might be a little bit too low. You might want to try using a dining chair. I've lost count. I think I was too busy talking. Okay, I'm going to do one more on this side, and then I'm going to switch legs. So you can switch with me if you like after this last one. And I'm switching sides. Same thing, thinking about the back leg is your main concentration. The front leg, you're going to pretend there's eggshells just underneath the foot, so you're barely putting any weight on it. Really work on transferring your weight over that base of support, meaning your back leg. Nice and controlled. Pushing the floor away from you as hard as you can. Remember to bring your chest forward when you're first starting the sit to stand, because if we're leaning too far back, there's no way we can get up. We'll just be like this, right? So you want to keep your weight forward, bring your chest over that leg, and then stand up, squeezing that bottom cheek muscle. How are we doing? I've lost count on this side too. I want to say that was number 5. It might not be. Don't hold me to it if you're looking at the recording and you're like, oh, Shelly cheated. She didn't do 10. I'm too busy talking. Keep going. Hopefully you're still doing this nice and slow. Think about the eggshells underneath that front foot. So you don't want to put too much weight on it. It's almost like you're standing only on one leg. Okay, I think I got 2 more on this side, and then we're finished with our sit to stands. So if you've also lost count like me, you can follow me. I've got 1 more here. On your last one, I want you to stay standing. Good. Stay standing there. You can shake out those legs. I'm just moving my chair. Okay, you probably guessed what's coming next. Our probably most hated exercises. We're holding onto the back of the chair, or you can use a table or a wall, something sturdy that won't move as you're holding onto it. And what we're going to do here is we're going to lean our body forward just a little bit, not a lot, not like this, but just a little bit, just to free up our hips a little bit. And then we're going to bring one of our legs behind us like so. You probably guessed this one. Keeping that back knee straight and keeping that knee and the toe pointing forward not as in at the camera, because right now I'm facing sideways, forward as in at whatever chair or table or wall you're holding onto. So you're squaring your hips. And then from here, using the back of your thigh muscle and your bottom muscle, you're going to lift that leg and then hover off the floor. So we're not touching down every time. We're lifting and hovering like so. And as you're doing this, you're making sure it's only your leg moving. Our body is not doing this. And it's just the legs. So imagine everything else is frozen, just the legs moving. You can keep that bottom supporting leg slightly bent if you like, if you feel like the back of your thigh is too tight and it's restricting your movement. And you're just gonna do these lift and hovers here. I know in previous weeks I said 20, but let's be honest, I never keep count. So just keep going. Do as many as you feel you can. Keeping that back completely still. So we're not moving the back like this, but you're keeping the back still. It's just the leg lifting. Keep that back knee straight. Keep the hips squared if you can. Let's do 8 more. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and shake out the legs. Let's switch sides. So same on the other side. Bringing that leg back, keep the knee straight, keep the hips squared, toes and knees pointing forward. And then we're going to lift and hover. So exactly the same thing here. Nothing else is moving except for your leg, but notice here how my knee is straight. So I'm not doing this, right? This is a different movement. We're not doing this. We're not bending our knee like this. We're keeping the knee straight and you're thinking about your thigh lifting and hover. Lift and hover, but because your knee is straight, your foot is also doing the same thing. But you're mainly thinking about that thigh, not the knee bending. Good, how are we doing? I think I see more comments pop up in the chat box. So maybe let me keep going. I'm just coming forward to read. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Carl, you still have no image. Okay. Well, the session is recorded, so you can always revisit it at a later date. I'm so sorry about the tech issues today. I'm also not very tech savvy, so unfortunately, I'm not very helpful there. Okay, how are we doing, everybody? Are we still doing the pulses? Let's do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Shake out those legs. Okay. We're gonna go back to our first side. What we're gonna do this time, so you're still leaning a little bit forward just to free the hips. What we're doing this time is you're gonna bend that knee. So bend that knee as much as you can. Just go as much as you can. Bend it as far up towards your bottom as you can. And then from here, keeping that knee as bent as you can, you're doing the same pulses. So you should feel this a little bit more in that sort of bottom muscle region. So keep bending that knee as far as you can. And you're thinking about the thigh lifting back like that. But the knee, so we're not doing this, right? So we're not kicking the leg back like that. Keep the knee bent. And you can see here my knee is staying bent the entire time. It's the hip. Can you see that? It's the hip and the thigh that's moving back. How are we doing? This one's probably feeling a little bit harder. Let's do 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And shake out the legs. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to turn around so you can see me because this one's harder to see. So same on the other side, bend that knee completely. And then from there, you're going to use the thigh to lift that leg. So we're not doing this, right? So I'm not kicking that leg back. We are keeping the knee bent and you're lifting up. So kind of like the sole of your foot is lifting up to the ceiling a little bit. Keep the hips squared. We're not doing this. We're keeping the hips squared. Nicely done. The movement will be a lot smaller on this one than the one with the straight leg, making sure that our body is not going up and down. It's just that leg moving. Good. Let's do 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Shake out the legs. I'm going to turn to face you. Okay. Keep the hips squared. Switch legs again. This time our leg is going out to the side. Actually, let me go on an angle so you can see. So my hips are squared facing the chair that I'm holding on to, and I bring the leg out to the side, knee straight, and we're keeping the knee and toe facing forward. So when I say forward, I mean whatever object you're holding on to, and then we're lifting out to the side. So if I go sideways, you can see it's directly to the side. I'm not going forward like that, but I'm going directly out to the side and my toes and my knees are facing forward. Yeah, you can see that? Okay, I'm going to turn back this way. So you lift and hover, just like before. Doesn't have to be too fast. How are we doing? Okay, keep going. Stand up nice and tall for this one. The body is not moving, right? We're not moving sideways, just the leg, Nicely done. Let's do 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Shake out the legs. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, keeping that leg straight, toes and knees pointing forward, keeping your body upright, body not tipping side to side, just that leg, lift and hover. Doesn't have to be very high. We're not looking for the highest kick. We're just looking for the right technique here of that little pulse. So the movement can be small, that's okay. Keep the knee and toe facing forward if you can. Nicely done. Last 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Shake out those legs. Okay, well done. Okay, so our last one here before we move on to something else is we're going to do our leg circles. You probably remember this one. You're going to be leaning a lot more forward for this one. So not so far over that you're caving over the chair, but enough so that you feel a little bit hunched over. Okay, so we're leaning forward, so we're a little bit hunched over, but trying to keep that spine long. You're going to bring one leg back like so. So just like what we did initially, bring one leg back. This time, you're going to draw a little upside down U. So see where my fingers are? Upside down U, like that. Starting from behind you, upside down U to beside you. Then upside down U to behind you. So essentially, you're going, starting from behind, you're lifting to the side, lifting behind. So you're doing an upside down U. Can you see that? You're lifting in this kind of arc, except you're going behind you to beside you, up and over, and then beside you to behind you, up and over. Good. This one's a little bit harder. It was a new one that we did last time. Doesn't have to be super high off the ground as long as the movement you're doing is an upside down U. So we're not doing this. We're not sweeping the leg forward and moving the body like that, but you're just using the leg. You're going up and over, almost like you're lifting your leg over a small block that's on the floor. So if the small block was here, you're lifting up and over, up and over. Good. Let's do 2 more. 1 more. And rest, shake out the legs. Same thing, other side. I'm just turning over this way so you can see. Same thing, leaning forward such that you feel a little bit hunched over. Then bring that leg behind you nice and straight, thinking about that upside down U, starting from behind you to beside you, then beside you to behind you, same thing. How are we doing? Do we hate this one? Remember to stay hydrated, you guys. If you feel like it's getting too hot for you, please stop and take a break, drink lots of water. We're having this heat wave, which hopefully won't last very long, but you never know. Okay, keep going. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And relax, shake out the legs, nicely done. Okay, I'm coming further forward so you can see me. Our next one is going to be practicing our floor kneel exercise. So we did this in the last 2 weeks. The last week we kind of added on a little bit. So let me just show you the different versions we have today, and then you can choose the level that works for you. So for this one, I want to hold on to something again, but ideally not a wall, okay? So something that you can grab around, so either the back of a chair or a table, something you can grab, okay? Not the wall in case you slip down. So we're going to imagine our upper body like an elevator. So we're not going to tip forward and back. We can only go up and down like an elevator, okay? You're going to bring one of your legs back as far as you can, and then bend that back knee down towards the floor, and the front knee's bending too, but you're bending down so that back knee reaches the floor. Or if you can't reach the floor, that's okay. Just go as far as you can and then come back in, okay? So the full version is like this. You're stepping back as far as you can, bend down. See how my body's like an elevator? I'm not going forward, but I'm going straight down. Knee hits the floor. Then your other leg is gonna come down. And then your first leg is gonna come back up. And then you're gonna push into the leg to help you stand back up, like that. And then we switch sides. Step back as far as you can, and then bend that back knee down. Then the other leg comes down. The first leg comes back up, and then you bring yourself all the way back up. That's the full version. Modification-wise, if you can't do that, that's okay. You can try to step back as far as you can, and then bring one knee down, and then come back up. Same thing, other side. One knee down, and then come back up, okay? If that's too difficult, that's okay. Rather than bring the knee all the way down, what you're gonna do is you're gonna step back as far as you can still, almost like you're about to do the split. Step back as far as you can, and then you're just gonna bend just as far as you can, and then come back up. Same other side, step back as far as you can first, bend, and then come back up. The reason I say step back as far as you can is because, have a look at this. If I only step this much, and then I try to bend, look what happens. My knees are already so far forward over my foot. Can you see that? My knees are already so far over my foot that I just don't have the control to lower. And I'm gonna end up using my arms or relying on something because my heel is already coming off the floor, and it's very difficult to lower yourself down. Whereas if you step back as far as you can and then you bend, can you see that my knee still has so much room to go? Can you see that? My knee still has a lot of room, and my heel's not, I'm not falling forward, right? Because I have a lot more room to then bring my body down. Make sense? So if we're like this, we're barely stepping, then there's no way. Getting down to the floor is so tough just because look how much my calf is stretching. See this foot here? Look how far my calf is having to stretch. My foot is getting pulled so far up that I just can't get down any further. So if you step back, then your ankle is in a nice position for you to actually lower down. You have that room, and we're not like this, right? Make sense? So full version, one knee down, but stepping back as far as you can. Second knee down, then the first knee comes up, the second knee comes up, and then we repeat. Yep, that's the full version. Down, down, up, up. Modifications, single knee down and up, single knee down and up, or just step back as far as you can and lunge as far as you can and come back up. Make sense? Okay, let's try. So do whatever level works for you, but really do this nice and slow. We're not aiming for the world's most repetitions or anything like that. We're not going for speed. We're not trying to break out a sweat necessarily. You're just doing a nice slow version of this, because the main point of this is you can see that my body's upright, so I'm not doing this and I'm not leaning back. So we're trying to use our leg muscles and our hip muscles to kind of control the down and the up. So we're not just relying on the arms, because eventually, as the weeks go on, I would like to try without the chair even, or maybe with one hand on the chair. So you really want to get in a good habit now of not trying to go for speed or not trying to go for as many repetitions as you can, but you're aiming for that slow technique here. I feel like my words are getting all jumbled up today. It's too hard to think. Keep going. So remember, you don't have to do this at the same speed as me. Do it at a speed that works for you, but we're aiming for slow, controlled. I don't want to hear anybody's knees thumping down, crashing down into the floor. Want to protect our knees. If it's too much, you can use a cushion. Keep going, keep going. But if it's too much for your knees, put a cushion behind you, not in front, behind you. And then you step back behind the cushion and lower your knee down onto the cushion. So this is a nice alternative if you feel like your knees are just too sore to be putting on the floor. And actually, this is probably a good visual target for you as well, to step back as far as you can, because now with that cushion behind you, you actually need to step behind that cushion, so it forces you to step back even further to lower down. Okay, how are we doing? I didn't forget about you. I know I was busy talking. I know you're still here. Keep going. Let's do a few more. Think about the elevator analogy. Your body being an elevator, you're only going down and up. We're not going forward and backwards. Nicely done. Let's do one more. Wherever you are, just finish off the one that you're doing or do one more, and then we'll move on to something else. Good. Okay, let me put my cushion back. Okay, so after that one, we're going to move the chair away. So we have some room. I don't want anyone to accidentally kick their chair. So our next exercise is going to be our lunges that we did. So the multi-directional lunges, but we're adding on a little bit. So last week when we did our lunges, we did a big step forward and we reach, you remember, opposite arm to leg. We reach the opposite arm and leg forward and backward. So this arm is here too. I'm not just reaching one arm forward, but both arms are reaching in opposite directions. Then I pushed off of that front leg to bring myself back in. And then I did the same thing with that same leg behind me. Do you remember that? Let me go sideways. So last time we went forward and back with that same leg. Do you remember that? So it's like here, my left leg, it's almost like it's bolted into the floor and it's only my right leg moving, the entire time. Okay. So you can either stay with that version, or today, if you want to challenge, what you can do, same idea, except we're adding a balance in the middle. So it looks like this.
Leg is going forward, arms reaching in opposite directions. Then you push back with that front leg, just like we did last time. But this time, when you come back in, balance for a second, and then bring that leg back. So it's like the leg goes forward, and then it comes back in without touching the floor, and then it goes straight back, and then it comes in without touching the floor, and it goes straight forward. Make sense? So you're only touching down at the front, at the back, at the front, at the back. But we're holding that balance in the middle. So we're not actually touching the leg down like we did last time. Last time we did forward, touch down, backwards, touch down. This time we're skipping the touchdown and we're keeping that leg lifted if you can. If you can't, don't worry, stick to the same version we did last week. Let's try. So if you can't lunge all the way, so when you're doing the lunge, you're trying to think about the back knee reaching to the floor, kind of like that floor kneel we did earlier. But if you can't, just step as far as you can and then come in, balance for a second, and then same leg goes back. So you're still reaching, right? Opposite arm to leg. Don't forget about that point. Because sometimes I think we concentrate so much on the legs, we forget about the arms. Whoops, just lost my balance there. And come back in. So really work on this movement here, playing with where you're shifting your weight. So you're shifting your weight from 2 legs to 1 leg to 2 legs. Think about pressing the floor away from you. And remember, this is not fast, so we don't want to do this too fast. You got to do it slower to actually be able to then feel the up and over hold, and then back, and then again, pushing with that leg, up and over, hold, and then coming forward. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just gonna come look at the chat box. Nope, we're all good. Okay, keep it going, keep it going. Nice and slow. In fact, the slower, the harder. Because if you're going too fast, you're gonna use momentum to push you up and over, but we wanna use our muscles to help catch us in the middle before you choose to then bring your weight back, right? So my weight is back. Now I'm choosing to push my weight into the middle, then forward. Make sense? And then again, push the weight back to the middle, hold, then push it back further. I see a comment. Keep going, keep going. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Carl. Still having issues, hey? Okay, that's okay. We'll see you next class. I hope everybody else is still going. Check in with yourself. How's your posture? Are we leaning forward? Are we still staying upright? Doing really good. This one's a little bit harder than last time because we're holding that balance in the middle. So you really got to think about where you're shifting your center of gravity. And that's what balance is really. You're working on controlling your center of gravity over your base of support, and you're able to control it so much so that you can move it outside of your base of support without collapsing. Good, well done, everybody. Let's just do one more wherever you are, one more. And let's switch legs. I'm just turning to the other side. Switch legs. So opposite leg now going forward. Whatever leg wasn't moving before is now going to be the one pushing forward and backwards. Move this way. Hopefully you've got more room than I do. I'm trying not to touch the walls here. Maybe I'll move back a little bit more. So same thing on this side. You're bringing your weight forward, and then you're choosing to push your weight back, hold it in the middle, and then make it travel back even further. And then again, pushing the weight up and over to the middle, and then up and over forward even more. Whoops, just moved my rug here. Good, how we doing? So remember, you don't need to do this fast. The slower, the better. And you don't have to hold it in the middle forever, just for a few seconds, as long as we're not doing this. we're not just going forward and backwards, right? Because you want to make sure you hold it in the middle so you can really check in with yourself. Are you controlling your balance, or are you just kind of pushing through it, using momentum to get you through, right? There's a difference there. So you just hold it in the middle for a few seconds. Doesn't have to be long. And then keep going. How we doing? Let's do one more. Wherever you are, just do one more. And rest. Okay, shake out those legs. Our next one is similar to that, but now we're going side to side. So legs are going to be underneath us, arms forward like so. Take one of your legs, you're going to step out and lunge as far as you can. Then with that same leg, you're going to push yourself back in, hold for just a second, bring that leg down. Same on the other side. So last time we just stepped in like this. So last time we went out, step in, remember? Out, step in. So same thing today, except we're just holding it in the middle. So we go out, join me here, bring it in, hold, switch legs, lift, we go out, push in, hold, and down. Good. Keep going in your own time. Doesn't have to be the same speed I'm doing, as long as we're not doing this. We're not just using momentum to get us across. Go slower. The slower the better, because if you go slower, it's harder to control. And that's what we want. We want to challenge your ability to control this. How we doing? Hopefully you're still with me. Remember, if you're getting too hot in this heat wave, please stop. Have a rest, splash some cold water on you, or drink some water. Stay hydrated. Don't want anyone to get a heat stroke here. Nicely done, everybody. Make sure when you're going out to the side, we're stepping out as far as we can. I know the push back in and balance is hard, but that doesn't mean we're going to start doing it like this. Because if you have your legs too close, it's pretty easy. You're not really pushing the weight. The whole point is, if you're traveling far enough, then using that leg to push yourself back in the middle, you got to find your balance a little bit and then place that leg down. Same to the other side. So try to step out as far as you can, because then that way it's more challenging when you're pushing to come back in. How are we doing? Try to keep those shoulders away from the ears. Let's do two more, one more each side. Wherever you are, just do one more each side in your own time. And then let's stop, shake out those arms. Okay, so we're gonna start with those legs nice and open. So just like last time, same exercise as last time. We're gonna bring ourselves into like a star shape almost. So your arms are open, your legs are open. From here, you're standing with your weight on both of your legs, and you're gonna push yourself over to one side and clap like that, clap on a diagonal, and then fall back to the middle. So really same as what we did before. You're pushing your body weight over that leg. See how my body is over the leg? And then I'm coming back to the middle. So I'm not doing this. Can you see if I'm doing this? I'm barely pushing my weight over, but you want to think you're pushing your weight over this leg, almost like you're looking over this way, holding it for a second, and then come back. Same to the other side. We're not just doing this. Can you see here? My hip is not over my foot if I do this. So you want to bring that hip right over your foot, balance for a second, and then bring it back. So you're thinking hip over the foot, keeping those knees straight if you can, and back. So it should feel a little bit robotic because so if I go from the side, I'm not doing this, but I'm keeping, can you see I'm keeping my knees straight, so it's a little bit harder. Hold it for a second and bring it back. Hold it for a second and bring it back. This is where our earlier exercise of this really comes in handy because we're using the same muscle. And down. And when you clap up on that diagonal, see how here my legs are still open? Try to keep them open. So I'm not doing this with my legs, but I'm keeping them open. So it's kind of like this angle that I'm standing in now. This angle of my legs stay the same. I'm just tipping my entire body over. Kind of like those little green army men toys that people have, the little ones where their feet are stuck on one platform. So if you were to move them, they'd be like this. Same idea, okay? Same idea when you're going from side to side. How are we doing? Balance for a second or two. Really important for you to get your hip right over that foot and balance for a second or two because we're gonna add on to this in the coming weeks. Think about those legs, keep them open. Imagine you've got your legs bolted onto a platform and you're just tipping your entire body over. So your leg still has to stay open in that same angle. We're not making the legs come in, but they're staying in that same angle. Nicely done. Let's do one more. And rest. Okay, last exercise, and then we're finished. I'm turning sideways to show you. Do you remember last week we did our double leg deadlift, or precursor to that, where we bent our knees a little bit, kept the knee angle the same, kept the back as straight as we can, and we stuck our bottom back and pushed our arms onto our thighs. So pushing the arms down the thighs, keeping the back straight, sticking the bottom back, but keeping the knee angle the same, and then pushing them up. Do you remember that? So we're not going like this forward, and we're not sticking our bottom back too far, but you're bending the knee slightly, keeping that knee angle the same. So we're not bending more. So we're not doing this. We're keeping the knee angle the same, and it's just the hip hinging. So this movement is just on the hip. Can you see that? It's not my chest. I'm not going forward like this. Keeping my back straight. So it's just my hips that are the hinge. Yeah. And we said in previous week, if that's too hard, lean your bottom onto a wall and do the same thing. So still bending those knees, walk your feet away from the wall a little bit, and then same thing, stick that bottom back, keeping the knee angle the same, exactly the same. Now you can either stay there, both feet on the floor, or if you want to challenge, I want one of your foot to be slightly behind and just on the toe, like that, okay? If I turn this way, so just on the toe, yeah, just on the toe, this way you can see me. Bend that knee slightly, the supporting knee, and then exactly the same thing, except now you're pressing only down one leg. So the leg that's not behind you is the one that you're sliding down on. So like this, exactly the same thing. You're not putting too much weight on that back leg. Kind of like our sit to stands, we're biasing one leg. The reason we're sliding our hands down our thighs is because the pushing helps you to be in a better posture of straightening the spine, keeping that knee angle bent the same. But by all means, if you want more of a challenge and you think you've got it, you can bring your arms up and back. But essentially, you're only on one leg. The other leg is just there for a bit of balance, but eventually one leg, right? So up to you if you want to push your hands down the front thigh, or you can have the hands hover up. Now I'm doing this pretty fast to show you, so you don't have to do it this fast. By all means, do it slow, but you should feel it sort of right here where your thigh meets your bottom. That's the area that you should be feeling this movement. And that area of your hip is super important to keep strong for your mobility and your balance. So we're working on that here. So please do this slower. I'm just doing this faster so you can see the whole range of the movement in case you get lost and you need to follow wherever you are. Let's do one more on this side and then we'll switch sides. And then switch sides. I'm going to turn this way. So remember, you can go back against a wall. You can do the same thing against a wall, still with one leg, kind of like that, against a wall. If you feel like it's too hard doing it without the wall, or you can do it without the wall as well. So pushing down the leg, that's not almost lifting off the floor. So this one here, that one's just there for a little bit of balance, but I'm not stepping on that leg. I'm putting most of my weight on the other leg. So same thing here, you can either push your hands down the thigh or you can lift it up, but you see how here my leg is not really, it's on the floor, but I'm not stepping on it. So if I wanted to at any point, I could just lift it. You see what I mean? At any point, I could just lift it. So you're keeping that there, sticking your bottom back, keeping that knee angle the same. So again, I'm doing this pretty fast, so please feel free to do this slower. Squeezing your butt cheeks as you come back up. Nicely done. Squeezing that butt cheek as you come back up. Up to you which version you want to do. Turn sideways so you can see this a little bit more. So that way, eventually, you can do something like this, right? And it's just your entire body tipping. I don't want you to do it like that right now, but it's just to show you that you want everything to be very stable. It's just the hip. Is this movement that we're looking for, but we're not doing this with the knees. We're not bending and straightening the knees. Keeping the knees where they are. It's just the hip. Can you see that? Just the hip. Let's do one more wherever you are. One more. And relax. Shake out those legs. Hold on to a wall or a chair or a table, whatever you have. You're going to step one of the legs back. And then you're bending into that front knee, reaching that back heel to the floor. Keep the back leg straight, front leg bent. Holding it for just a few seconds. Really tuck that bottom underneath. You should feel it on the back calf. And come back up. Same thing, other side. Reaching that leg behind. Front knee bent, back knee straight. Reach that heel away from you. You should feel that stretch in the back calf. And then coming back up. We're going to do our thigh. You have two different versions. You can either hold on to your foot, pull it up towards your bottom, but hold on to something, and you should feel it in the thigh. Or if you can't reach, hold on to a wall, place a chair behind you, bring one leg up like so, bring the knees in together. So you're still doing the same thing here. Push the hips forward, and you should feel it in that thigh as well. Or of course, if you add pillows under your foot so that your foot is closer towards your bottom, you'll feel it more. Let's switch sides. Same thing. You can either hold onto your foot or you can place it in the chair, whatever works for you, but make sure you're holding on. Stick your bottom forward. You should feel it in that thigh. Good. Okay, and release. Stand with the legs nice and far apart. Reach your fingertips to one knee. Bend to that same side. Keep your back straight and stick your bottom back, and you should feel it in the straightened leg, in that thigh, an inner thigh. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Reaching your hands to the other knee, keeping the other leg straight. And as you're doing that, you're sticking your bottom back, keeping your back nice and straight, and you should feel it in that inner thigh. Nicely done. Okay, grab a chair. We're going to have a sit down. Sit at the very front of your chair. Bring one leg forward. Keep that knee straight. Keep your spine nice and long. Hinge forward, almost like you're about to bring your chest towards your foot and reach down as far as you can. So keep going from the side. like this, as far as you can. And it's up to you if you want to bring the foot up or keep it down. It doesn't really matter. I know lots of people always tell you to bring it up, but really the hamstring muscle that you're stretching stays the same whether you bring your foot up or not. The reason you might feel a bit more on the way up is because you're actually then stretching the nerve rather than the actual muscle itself. So it doesn't really matter if you have it up. Keep your spine nice and straight. Same on the other side, keeping that leg straight, bending forward. You can have the foot up if you want or down. Remember, if it's up, you get a bit more of a neuro component, a nerve component, which is not necessarily a good or bad thing. It doesn't really matter. Or you can keep it down and you feel that in the muscle. The muscle length stays the same whether you have your foot up or down. Good, last one. Cross one heel over the other knee. Press that knee down. Press it down to the floor. You might be okay to stay here if you feel that in the bottom already, but if not, keep your spine straight, lean forward over your foot, and then press that knee down further, and you should feel it in the back of your hip. Or if that's too much, keep the bottom knee straight. So that way it's less aggravating for you. Same on the other side. Cross the other knee over, press that knee down, lean forward, keep your back nice and straight as you lean forward. You should feel that more. Press that knee down more if you don't, or keep that bottom knee straight if you feel like it's a little bit too much for you. And rest. Good. You're all done. Sorry that stretch was so quick. I wanted to make sure we weren't running too much over time. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on this very hot day. So I'm glad you made it through the class. I hope you stay hydrated, and I will see you next class, same place, same time. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at info@parkinson.bc.ca. Great. Thank you guys. Stay cool. I've got buckets of water lying around the house where I dip my feet into. Bye, everybody. Hi, Nick. Good to see you. Bye, everyone. See you next week.